And good morning on Tuesday, October 17th. It's the big 300 for the 359 podcast. I'm BVG. I'm in-house with Roger Cheng, Alfred Ng, and the grand return of Joan Solsman.
I get applause! Thank you. Thank you so much.
We brought her back just for this episode.
That's right.
One time only.
Very special.
That's it. No, we brought her on for a specific purpose. We're going to be talking about, well, first off, we'll be talking about the Pixel 2, our reactions, CNET's review of it. Then we'll be talking about Netflix, a little bit about their earnings, as well as the upcoming or price cuts. Upcoming? Is it already going through, or?
If you aren't a subscriber now, you're going to be paying more already.
So the price cut.
You really should have brought your laptop.
I know. And we'll be talking about the ZTE Axon M, which is a foldable phone.
My interest is already folding in it.
Oh, it's a cool phone. Dang it! I'm gonna speak up for it. It's a cool phone. It's not the prettiest phone, but it's a cool phone in my mind. All right,
Very
fine,
judgmental.
whatever. As always, if you have any questions about these topics, we'll also take any questions about the crack Wi-Fi attack. Alfred is around to answer any questions.
Life in general.
Life in general.
If you need any advice on, your career or
Don't talk to Alfred.
yeah,
Alfred's wearing a jacket today, so
Yeah.
I'm very
he's
important.
career advice, Alfred.
I'm like a high school guy.
He's job interview Alfred,
He's
really.
job interview, Alfred.
All right.
There is a
Might have
little
been
bit
the
of
jacket
dust
I
on his
wore.
shoulder.
Yeah, let's just get that off there.
Grown-up business Alfred with job application action.
I think this still has shoulder pads in it.
I think it does.
Oh, yeah. There
I
you go.
bought this for like junior high. I'm serious.
I believe that. I totally
So
believe
like
that.
3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Oh!
We're
Joan
off
is
the
back.
rails already. Okay, like I said, if you have any questions on any of these topics and career advice for Alfred, leave in the comment section. Brian will pick out the best. We will get to them in 3 minutes and 59 seconds.
Yeah, hang out, everybody. We're going to record this 4-minute podcast, and then we'll be back, and we want to hear from you in the chat, so just bear with us while we get the important stuff out of the way, and then we're going to waste your time for 20 minutes. So hang out in 3 minutes and 59 seconds from 3, 2...
Welcome to the 359. I'm Roger Cheng,
I'm Alfred Ng.
I'm Joan E Solsman.
and we're here to talk about the Pixel 2. The reviews are out and mostly positive, right? Excellent camera. Makes up for the fact that there is no headphone jack, which Alfred, I know you're still bitter about.
Yeah, I actually tried a pair of Bluetooth headphones over the weekend.
Whoa.
I was given a loaner pair from David Carnoy.
And what'd you think?
They didn't turn on. The battery was dead.
Well,
the battery
there
was
you
dead
go.
on arrival.
That's
so
Carnoy's fault.
there's a lot
Well, you
of
kinda
reasons for me
charge
to
them,
not.
I
I
mean-
did. I charged them overnight, and then it held the charge when I had it plugged in.
And that's the perennial complaint about the Bluetooth. Is
Yeah.
it's an extra thing you have to think about,
Yeah.
and you're in the middle of a movie, and that's when it goes dead.
It's extremely frustrating. So
Yeah.
I still think the lack of a headphone jack is a deal breaker. I tried seeing it from the other side. I didn't buy them. I got Bluetooth headphones.
I got Bluetooth headphones
And they
for
didn't
free.
work.
But did not
Okay.
purchase them. There's
And
no money exchanged.
they had the audacity to need me to charge them.
I did charge it. I charged it, and it worked when I had it plugged into the USB. So it worked, but it didn't hold the charge.
All right, why don't we talk about the phone itself? Look, Lynn Law and Jessica Delcourt did some tests on it. The Pixel 2, the camera is excellent. As I said, It is the highest rated from DxOMark, higher than the upcoming iPhone 8 and 10, and it does portrait mode kind of well.
Yeah.
With one lens.
Yeah, I'm very impressed by that. So the way that they were able to do it is using like the AI for the
Right.
camera instead. So it was basically saying we don't really need the best hardware for a good photo as long as we have like great software backing it, which is kind of been
Right.
Google's MO.
Well, so Stephen Shanklin actually did a sort of a deep dive on the camera and the AI behind it. And it's interesting how they perform this trick is the AI is smart enough to recognize a human face and then the background, and it knows to blur the background. But they gave the example, like, if it sees something it doesn't recognize, like the example they gave was a person kissing an alligator, like it would not know that the alligator was in the foreground. So it would blur out the alligator because it didn't recognize it.
I would also not recognize that.
Well, I mean, your human eyes would figure it out.
How could a person love an alligator?
Love can take all
Love
forms,
conquers
man.
all.
All right, next up, we got to talk about Netflix. The report earnings that were pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Joan?
The earnings were pretty good, but the thing that was relevant from that earnings is it came on the heels of a price increase, which nobody
Yeah,
likes for
no.
Netflix.
No.
So if you're already a member, then your prices are going to be going up probably $1 or $2, unless you have the very cheapest plan in the next couple months. But to distract everyone though from the fact that they're raising prices, the CEO and head of content of Netflix decided in the middle of their earnings call to put on blinking Stranger Things sweaters.
Whoa, and we're watching that now, and it's freaky. He looks freaky, actually. He's got this kind of evil grin going.
Wow, how relatable and cool of this
It
multimillionaire.
was very cringy. It was super cringy.
Hello, fellow youths. I am a big fan of the Stranger Things.
And it's because Netflix is getting into merch. They're selling merchandise related to Stranger Things in anticipation of its arrival on October 27th out of Target.
And they need more money at this point, right? They're spending how much on content?
Next year, they're going to be spending $7 to $8 billion.
Billion with a B.
With a B on making more shows, more movies. If you are having trouble keeping up with every new show that's coming out on Netflix, it's only going to get worse.
All right.
Better.
Lastly, we wanted to talk about this weird phone that's been announced today, the ZTE Axon M. M is for multi-user, multi-window, multitasking. It is a foldable phone. There are two screens. There's a hinge there, so you can pull it back. It's a little bulky. It doesn't look great, but it is kind of cool, and I think it does. It hints at a future where we do see more foldable phones.
It reminds me of the Sidekick.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Me too.
There was actually it was like, I believe the Kyocera Echo, which came out 6 years ago from Sprint, that had this foldable phone. The same concept, two screens. Very clunky, very slow. It didn't really work so well. This one does work pretty well. There's like a mirror mode. You can actually extend it across both screens, so it's like a super large display. But I don't know. It feels like a first-gen product.
I feel like they should just make tablets like that, where instead of like having it as a phone, just have like tablets that are foldable.
That's a great idea.
You can have that for free.
You should make that.
Somebody hire this man.
ZTE,
He's wearing a jacket.
I know. All right. If you liked anything you saw or heard here, check us out on CNET. I'm Roger Cheng.
I'm Alfred Ng.
I'm Joan E Solsman.
Thanks for listening.
Wow, we got off the rails.
What are you talking
Did we? I
about?
thought we were pretty on the rails there.
Not the first minute.
All right, that's pretty weird.
Talking about Alfred's crappy headphones.
That
You
wasn't
asked me about- that was
wasn't even my
related to
fault.
the Pixel 2. That was related to the
We
lack
did
of a
spend a
headphone
lot of
jack.
time talking about Alfred's Bluetooth.
Because if
headphone
I
issues.
wanted a Pixel 2, I'd like clearly have to switch to Bluetooth headphones.
One thing
And
I
the
did,
fact that they don't hold a charge is
the
ridiculous.
one thing I forgot to mention I wanted to say on the podcast was Lynn recommended that if you're looking to upgrade to a Pixel 2 and you don't mind and you really don't mind the size, the Pixel 2 XL is the better option. It's got a better display, sharper screen, same camera on both phones, but it's just a better.
Yeah.
You get better specs for it.
Right on. As to kick off the conversation, as I'm kind of filtering through all of the questions in the chat right now, and there are plenty to go through, so bear with me for a second. I don't care about the Netflix price hike. I mean, when they jump up $1, like that's cost of living. That kind of
I
thing.
think most people think about it. I mean, when you think about it in the sense that if it goes up $1, that's $12 more a year.
Right.
And given just how much content Netflix is churning out, because Netflix isn't paying for their content with your dollars that you pay them, it's mostly taking out a bunch of debt. So it's able to charge you a very little bit more to be giving you a whole lot more television and movies.
Yeah, I don't
generally
know.
that's how people are
My
approaching
gripe
that.
with it was that they were raising the prices at the same time that all these other networks were taking their shows that I would
That's
binge
true.
like crazy off it. So it's like, you know, they're
yeah.
removing all these shows and
they do lose Disney in a year.
yeah, and
Yeah.
they're spending all that money on shows that like on all these original series that I don't have like a connection with at all.
Yeah.
And
But that's, I mean, you're unique, and there are folks who have a connection to a lot of these shows.
no, I mean I watch like originals, but like it's the ones that are like already like critically acclaimed. Where it's like I watch like BoJack Horseman, Stranger Things,
Right.
American Vandal, like all these shows that are like good Netflix originals. But I feel like for every good Netflix original, they spend like millions of dollars on Adam Sandler's like Wild Wild West,
Which
like,
is
thing.
actually like the most popular content they make, period. Like bar none.
That is
Yeah, I'm aware of
mind-boggling.
that, but it's just
Well, my point being, like, what doesn't resonate for you resonates for other people.
Yeah.
True,
So it's still
true.
a good investment for them.
I mean, we do come from a society where reality TV was king for how many years?
Yeah.
It's the lowest common denominator, and that's how it's always going to be. Sorry,
you know,
to burst your
it's gonna
millennial
be
bubble.
it's gonna be, you know, if they take off like Big Bang Theory or How I Met Your Mother, then I'm done with Netflix because
Wait,
those-
is Big Bang Theory?
I think it's off, yeah. But
think
if they
it's
take off How I Met Your Mother, then you know,
Is that on? Is that still on there?
yes,
Okay. It's hard to keep track of what's on off because they rotate every
I
month.
love the
so
CBS shows.
That's great. All right. Moving on to actual questions.
Leslie's not listening right now, Alfred. Let's start out with this comment on the Axon M phone.
Yeah.
Just from Karen in the chat.
Surprising the first questions on Axon M, but go on.
It wasn't the first question, but I want to hit this one because is that a Nintendo?
You know what? When I first saw it, like with the screen off, it kind of looked like a DS,
Yeah.
like folded out.
It totally did in that
Yeah.
video too, in our review.
But it is 2 large displays. I believe they're 5-inch displays, or 5.1. But yeah, it's very similar form factor. Very similar design.
Is there a chance that like one screen could break and then the other one's like perfectly fine?
That is possible. There is a mirror mode, so you can have your one screen, the other one's kind of screwed up. But I mean, they said they've got Gorilla Glass on both sides, so it's supposed to be not impervious, but harder to crack than normal. The latest Gorilla Glass, and then they've also designed a special case that you can buy for it that's supposed to protect the glass.
I wonder how much it would cost to like get the screen replaced on that.
I don't know. That's a good question.
That'd be really annoying. It was like, oh, my left screen is broken. Oops.
I imagine that would be really tough too, because it's not like you can go
It's
to
not a
a
common,
ZT authorized repair shop, right? Aren't that many of those out there?
I mean, to be fair, that happened with like the DS a lot too, where
Right.
like one screen would crack.
So
in
I
it.
would
That's
say
why
the
I
only
asked.
difference is the DS, I believe, is a clamshell, right?
Yes.
It folds open. This is the opposite, right? Because the
Oh.
screens on the outside, they fold out.
So wait, it
What
gives you a
the-
chance to crack it twice.
Yeah.
That's
Yay.
the dumbest thing I've ever heard
Yeah.
of.
So there you go.
That's literally like putting a target on both sides of your phone.
Yeah, and I think the thinking is that the latest Gorilla Glass is strong enough that it'll withstand scratches and cracks. Theoretically,
We'll see.
we'll see.
Staying on the same topic here, Dr. Faye says, I want to be able to aggressively slam that phone after a call like we used to.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do that with this
Crack
one.
it.
I would not recommend
You'd
it.
be like, okay, gentle. Again, I think they are offering like a special case that allows you to at least have some protection on both sides.
What if the case had another screen on it,
Ooh, like an inception of screens.
like a triple screen thing?
That would be cool.
It'll be like the science project from like middle school where.
Oh, the full. Yeah.
That's the new phone that
And
they
then
should
there's
be
like a
coming
little
out.
volcano there that has a little explosion.
3 screens, baby.
Yeah.
Thanks to everybody for all the well wishes and happy 300s. That's
Oh,
really
thanks.
sweet of everyone.
Yeah.
Let's get back into the chat and let's talk about. Well, let's talk about Netflix, shall we?
Let's do it.
Bring back Futurama.
Matthew Datcher, the Datch in the chat. What's up, Datch? He's asking, is the price increase only for Netflix or is DVD.com going to be affected as well? Joan?
There shouldn't be any effect on DVD.com, or if you are one of those lingering Netflix DVD subscribers, there shouldn't be any change.
Okay,
to your
but how do
price
I
for
get the VHSs?
that. You build a
There-
time machine.
Yeah.
Alfred, we all know that there were no VHSs when you were born.
Oh.
Yeah, I was raised on Betamax.
Deep cuts, deep cuts. All right, staying on the Netflix train, as I do 3,000 things at once here. Michael Brown asks, when do you think a Netflix film will get an Academy Award? And expanding on that, when do we think we're going to see Netflix hit theaters?
So
Ooh.
Netflix, first question, that's the question that Netflix executives are asking themselves. It's their kind of one thing that they have, it's a golden ring they haven't been able to grasp, is getting an Oscar. And Amazon beat them to it by just like shelling out hand over fist money to buy Manchester by the Sea
Yeah.
this last year. That won a couple Oscars. But it's been elusive for Netflix, I think partly because Hollywood's a little bit annoyed at how much Netflix doesn't play by their rules.
Ooh, bad
But how come
boys.
they're annoyed at Netflix but not Amazon though?
Because Amazon does play by their rules. Amazon, well, that actually segues well into the question about theaters. Amazon lets movies that it pays for and makes play in theaters for like a typical amount of time, and only then does it bring it onto their streaming service. Netflix doesn't like to do that. They like to have it in theaters, in a small number of theaters, at the very same time that it's available to stream. So for a theater owner, that's really annoying. Like,
Did
Yeah,
you do like an
I-
Alamo Draft House thing or something like
yeah,
that?
so what they do, because and the only reason that Netflix has movies in a very small number of theaters is to qualify. It all comes together, is to qualify for the Oscars. You have to have a movie in a theater in Los Angeles County in a certain frame of time in order to be qualified to.
I didn't realize it was in
be a-
Los Angeles.
I didn't know
be a
that was a
nominee.
rule either.
Yeah.
Makes
So
kind of sense.
that's the reason that Netflix really does put anything in theaters. But this upcoming year, they're going to be having, I think actually before the end of this year, they're going to have this movie Bright,
Oh, the
which
Will
has
Smith
Will
movie.
Smith
Yeah,
in
yeah.
it. That's kind of like their biggest like chance yet at a sort of blockbuster style movie, and it'll be interesting to see if they have it in just that really tiny amount of theaters, or if they'll want to try to have it streaming and in a lot of theaters at the same time.
And
for
but
one.
that's not considered like an Oscar contender. That's more
No,
of
no,
like
no. That's
a-
not. That's not an
yeah,
Oscar.
that's
That's not
That's
an
like a
Oscar.
big
Not
summer
Oscar.
movie type.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
They're
I
gonna-
remember when I was at Comic Con, there was a
very
lot of
confused by that
promotion for
movie.
For
that.
Bright.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's
Yeah, it was
interesting.
everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
I really hope Netflix is like the new Leonardo DiCaprio, where they show up every year and they just don't win.
Never win.
Ouch.
Jeez.
True story. True story. I scared the crap out of my girlfriend when he actually won, because I usually am not invested in the award shows. I don't really pay attention, but she watches them and they'll be on, and it's like I'm not opposed to them, and she's usually distracted doing something else. And I was like on the edge of my seat when he was up for
The Revenant.
Revenant, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. And I jumped out of my chair, and she goes, "What's wrong with you?"
Yeah, what is wrong with you? Were you like that much of a Leo fan?
I mean, he's had such a cool career.
He
And
should have won
I
in
am going to
previous
fanboy for a
years.
second. He's done some cool stuff. One of my favorite movies of all time is Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
good
yeah.
movie.
I
That's
think
an
it's a
enjoyable movie.
genius film. I
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
love everything
That's fun.
about it. I mean, him and Tom Hanks are like such a good team.
Wait, what
wanna
should he
see
have
him-
won for last year or the year before? What was the role that you thought he should have won earlier?
No, I felt like he should have won for like something like Gangs of New York.
Oh, earlier. Got it. Okay,
I'm trying to think.
Gangs in New York was awesome too.
Yeah, that was a
Okay.
great movie.
that's true. He's had a pretty good career.
Did Daniel
Titanic.
Day-Lewis win an Oscar for that?
Yeah, he did.
one?
He did. Yeah,
I mean,
he was. Oh my god, this is really good acting.
whoopsie daisy.
All right, tech. We need to talk
Go-
about tech.
Yeah, sorry.
Onwards.
We get distracted.
Any pixel questions? I'm really surprised there are like few pixel questions.
Okay, so let's talk to Archie Blair. He says, what do you think of the Pixel XL having the bezel-less screen, but the Pixel does not?
Well, I mean, it does still have a bezel. It's not like the edge-to-edge
But
screen.
they don't they advertise it as bezel-less?
Their
Sometimes
version.
I guess.
advertising lies.
I would say it's not
I
quite.
trust you because you wear a jacket.
I would say it's if you're looking for that kind of seamless edge-to-edge design, you're not really going to Pixel 2 or XL. You're going to the Note, or you're buying an iPhone iPhone 10. I think it's a small change quirk in the design. It's not that different from the smaller Pixel 2. The XL is.
Okay.
It's not as bezel-less as some of the other bezel-less phones.
Not
Say
like
that.
the Essential with the little dot.
Exactly. The notch.
All right, here's one from Danelle. Says, do you think OEMs will go back to a single camera setup now that the portrait effect can be accomplished in a single camera, Pixel S8 in the future?
No, and I think the S8 was a bit of a misstep. I think they were supposed to go to dual lens, but they obviously didn't have enough time. That's why it showed up in the Note 8. I would imagine the S9 will have dual lens. I think that's become a de facto standard for premium phones. Apple has sort of set that trend. Samsung has followed. Not everyone else has to follow.
I was
along
gonna
as well.
try to mention this on the show, but we didn't have enough time. But I was kind of hoping that with Google pushing out, oh, you don't need the dual lens. We have the software for it.
Yeah.
That lower end phones would start being able to take better photos.
I think there's going to be. I don't know how willing Google is to share some of that
Yeah.
technology with everyone because it's not. I don't think it's core to Android. It is
that's the
specific
thing.
to
It's
Pixel.
specific to Pixel.
And also, it requires a fairly powerful processor to run all that stuff. And lower end phones have slower processors, so I don't know if it can even work technically.
That's why I
But
said I hope. I don't think they'll do it, but
yeah,
it would
like
be
I
really
think
cool.
I think what Google did was kind of unique to Google and their
Yeah.
strengths. And so I don't really see it. I don't see a lot of single lens cameras trying this. I
Yeah.
think you're gonna see a lot more dual lens cameras.
Couple more questions here before we call it a day. Lost Legacy. Do you expect Samsung and the rumored 2020 foldable iPhone will have the same approach as the Axon M?
I
That's
mean,
hard to say.
Yeah, that's really hard to say. I mean, I think Samsung's already confirmed publicly that they're going to make a foldable phone.
I really don't see what other way you can fold it unless you do it like a sandwich fold, like it's a triangle. That'd be terrible.
Triangle. No, that would be terrible.
Yeah, that would be awful.
That reminds me of like the Office tablet, the like triangle pyramid tablet
Oh
thing.
man, I forgot the name of it.
But
Saber or
the
something.
the Saber pyramid, right?
Yeah.
No, I think it's going to be a little bit more elegant because Samsung has got more resources when it comes to display technology. We kind of saw a hint of this last year or earlier this year with Lenovo. They showed off a foldable phone where the glass itself actually folded.
Yeah.
Which was
Wasn't that one of their laptops too?
No. I think it was like a wrist, almost like a smartwatch that kind of folded around. And so that's what I'm hoping to see
Like
from
a
Samsung.
rollable?
Yeah, almost like
okay.
rollable. Like the screen itself will fold and bend, and that's really tough technically. I imagine the phone, whatever foldable phones we'll see in the coming year, they're probably going to be thick like the Axon M, like because they're first generation products. They're going to be big and bulky. I think this will be more attractive as a second or third generation product, but I like where it's going because I want to see more foldable phones. I think that's a very logical way to evolve where the phones are going.
You know, it's gonna be great when the rollable like phones come out, like when
You
they
just roll it up in a scroll and just put in your pocket.
People will still complain that there's no headphone jacks on those. Come on, I can't plug it in this piece of paper.
All right, just a couple more quick ones. We have a lot of really great questions about how the phone performs, about
With a Pixel? Or?
yeah, how the Pixel performs,
Yeah.
and like first hands-on issues, how the screen light, like the actual screen viewing capabilities, etc. We in this room do not have our hands on it. We're conveying to you to go to CNET.com and look at the official review from, who is it, Lynn and...
I think Lynn Law did the main review.
Lynn Law did the
Jessica
main
Alford,
review.
right?
Jessica did a follow-up story on.
Yeah.
So they've got the scoop on how it performs.
Yeah.
However, Jeffrey Brown's got a rhetorical question for us. Roger, you can probably floor this one since you're the Pixel user in the room. Do you think Google Pixel will ever have wireless charging?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I imagine it's going to come next year.
Next year?
Yeah. I'm making my claim, my bold prediction now. I mean, they should have done it this year. Like at this point with Apple getting on that bandwagon, a lot of phones are, I mean, that's sort of the cue for everyone to kind of follow along. And Samsung has had it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't new technology at all. And I imagine they were kind of kicking themselves a bit. I mean, this new Pixel is water resistant, which is kind of a year behind everyone else. And so I imagine wireless charging is sort of that next feature. It's becoming, it's that standard feature for high-end phones.
It'll be normalized soon, but you're
Yeah.
saying as early as next year.
I think so.
Wow.
I hope so.
That's pretty brave. Perhaps courageous, if you will.
It's a year away. People will forget what I say.
Episode 300, Roger Cheng predicted that the Pixel 3 will have wireless
right.
charging.
Yeah.
And it's easy to remember the episode name because it's 300. So.
And what do we do if you're wrong?
Well, then I'll make another prediction for the Pixel 4. Yeah.
No, you need accountability.
Do I?
In the chat.
Wait a minute, what?
No, in the chat. Tweet at us. Tell us what we have to do to punish Roger if he's wrong about wireless charging on
Why
the
does
Pixel
Roger
3.
get punished
I hope
so
somebody
much?
from Google's watching this now. It's like, you know what? Now I'm not
Yeah,
going to
now
put
I'm totally going to screw this guy
Now
over.
I'm just waiting for you-know-who to come out of the blue and just be like, punch him in the face.
No, we're not doing that again. We're
No
never
more
doing that
punching.
again. No more
That
references
was
to
episode
punching.
200, I believe.
It was 200.
All right.
All right, that's
it?
That's about it. We should time to wrap it up.
All right. If you liked anything you saw or heard here, check us out on CNET. Our podcast is also available on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Feedburner, and Google Play Music.
Joan, thanks for coming back.
Yeah,
Welcome back, Joan.
Thanks.
See you all tomorrow.
Bye, everybody.